So I'm gonna be here and we're gonna talk about something again, and I don't know what, but I think we're gonna talk about how how there was like this synchronicity 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 synchron synchronicity, yeah, in the world's mythology. And the world's mythology is filled with these characters that have their synonymous representations in other cultures. So in for example for example pardon me, I'm still learning to speak English, so I might stutter a lot. For example, it's the character Zeus. Zeus is a character that is reoccurring in many worlds mythologies, even in Christianity, which is represented by God. Likely to be Jehovah. Yeah. So we have this fatherly figure. We have this fatherly figure that is represented in many mythologies like Nordic. In Nordic, he is the father of, is Loki's father. What is his name? I forgot. I can't really remember the name of Loki's father, but yeah. There is also the story of Adam and Eve. The story of Adam and Eve is especially abundant in all cultures across the world. For example, there is the story of Manu. He's called Manu, and his wife. We have the story of these two humans that were created, and then there is a serpent of a dragon, and this figure is this serpent figure is either a wise figure or a satanic figure throughout all the other cultures. And it is there. The story is represented in Vedic literature, in Greek mythology, in Babylonian mythology, and any other mythology around the world, even to the Oceania. 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 I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Yeah, so this serpent figure is the most fascinating to me because in some cultures they are representing their picture as the symbol of wisdom instead the typical liar figure, the Satan figure in Abrahamic religions. So yeah, number presented as this, but so my suspicion is that there is these two fighting parties that are separated between team A and team B, and they're they have a different set of beliefs which is related to a very real event that was happening in this earth. And this event, I don't know, maybe it was related to aliens, maybe it was just some kings in some kingdoms in this world. So we know that humans originated from Africa, but and in general we know how the humanity how our how humans spread across the continents, the big continents of Asia, Europe, and Africa. You know, humans started somewhere in East Africa. Yeah. And then we think they are spreading through the Arabian Peninsula, and then they spread to Asia and then Europe, or maybe Asia and Europe at the same time. And then this Asian and European population were mixed up in Eurasia, and that is the Central Asia in our modern days, in our current time. So we have two two these two branches of humans that were separated somewhere Arab in Arab Peninsula, and then in India they went from Arab to India, and then there is another group of humans that were sailing to Australia, to the Southeast Asia, and in Southeast Asia. I mean, these people were coming from Indian subcontinent. Yeah. I think, yeah, human races in large were were formed by the caste system in India. So the caste system, there were these groups of white and black people. I mean, how could white and black people? I mean, where do where did these races come from? It is from the phenomenon of whitening. The whitening of the skin originated from India, because they have the belief system that allowed them to to retain the somewhat somewhat unusual characteristics in humans. I mean, yeah, and there are many. And there are many physical deficiencies and disabilities were that were present in India back then, even until now. So their belief system allowed them to it allowed them to retain these genes, and some of these genetic variations were brought up from Africa itself, because we know right now that Africa has the most diverse genetic variation compared to other continents. And one of these variations or mutations, or maybe you want to call it deficiencies or disabilities, but I see it just as variation. And one of them is these albinistic genes. So the albino genes, they were these characteristics are they are related to these genes called OCA genes, and one of them one type of these OCA genes is OCA2, and OCA2 is the genes that affect your eye color, your skin color too. and the characteristic isn't the traits that were presenting in people that are carrying these genes. They're not to the extremes that they have the characteristics that you always hear that albinos have, like red eyes or white hairs. No, they have pretty normal characteristics compared to other more extreme characteristics of albino, and that is like blue eyes. They have blue eyes and they have blonde hairs, and these characteristics were passed on. And characteristics were passed on, and they they presented some disadvantages, like inability to be too much around sun, which is why this is related to Indian belief system, because they have this Brahman, this priest, the caste of priest, which is the highest caste in the caste system, and these people tend to have white skin, and this is because they carry these genes. I'm not trying to offend anyone here, but I'm just trying to make sense of everything that was happening. So there were this set of people, and this set of people were called the Brahmans, and the Brahmans they were mostly considered as Brahmans because the people at the time, the parents of these kids, I mean, they know that these kids could not get too much, could not be exposed to sun too much, so they had to be babied, forgive my choice of words because I'm not native. They have to be indulged inside the house, inside homes, and that was their so this opportunity was presented to them, that they could learn so much more in their free time that other groups of people with darker skins could not have opportunity to do. And they had this opportunity, this set of kids, these kids that with lighter skins, and they were able to stay at home and learn about things, to collect knowledge and to imagine stuff, and they were able to be theoretical, to be more philosophical, which is why some of these communities moved from hunter way of life to a more agrarian way of life. And this agrarian way of life is what set these people, this community, to be able to stay in one place, so they don't have to move around so much. They could stay at home and tend to their farm, to their animals, and to their crops. I don't know, and these were the things that allowed them to be more to pass their knowledge to their kids, and which this was what allowed them to be more focused on past knowledge, religions. But the religions is more theoretical, it's more dreamy, because they didn't have the chance to stay out that much. So they were either staying in the forest or they stayed in their homes. And this created this some sort of peaceful temperaments, and but also arrogant, and they had this kind of more tactical strategic thinking compared to the other set of groups that were hunting outside in the desert, in the I don't know, the harsher environments. So the spirituality between these two people, these lighter and darker skinned people, they were kind of different. I mean, the darker people, which is crows, it's across the Africa and the Southeast Asia and Australia and Oceania, they were more active. They were more in some way they were also more accepting of the world. They they live more in the way like a person who lives from moment to moment, and they don't have to think too much to the future, because their skins are not sensitive to their skins were not sensitive to sun exposure, so they had the chance to explore the the world in a more free way. And the lighter skinned people, they had to move to the colder climates, which was the Europe continent, which isn't actually a continent because it's connected straight to Asia, but call it whatever you want. In Europe, so they were staying in Europe. Stayed in Europe as Caucasians. So they were Caucasians. So these were the origins of Caucasians. and they were coming from the Brahmins group that were finally able to rise in power because they were given this privilege to stay at home, and they had the privilege to study more. So they they ended up enslaving these other groups of humans. And if you're wondering about where Asians came from, I would say that they came from they're quite their evolution is quite, I mean, our evolution, I'm also an Asian, our evolution is kind of different from the Caucasian people. We were coming from the darker groups of people, but we were the kind of people that were that only came up because of when the status of the Brahmins were already established, because we were trying to be more to seem to be more lighter. I don't know, this part is just speculation, but somehow we ended up become the so there were this group which was the Vaishyan group. They were the merchants, the kind of people who ran businesses, and these were also related to the more subterranean or Arabic genes, and they were moving to Asia through India. Maybe there were some gene mixing there happening. Yeah, but they moved to Asia and created their own groups that will already have the belief that lighter skin were better. So that's where they got our cultures from, which is really putting lighter skin in high regard even until now. And so this set beliefs, and we also have the a pretty business focused mind. We are really entrepreneurial even until now. So yeah, so the white people moved to Europe, and then they came back to this Arabian continent from India. They moved to to Europe, and then came back again to Arab Arab continent, subcontinent, I mean. And they mixed with the people there and creating Abrahamic religions. So these were where Abrahamic religions came from. And but these were Abrahamic religions. They are not so much separated to the Vedic beliefs. So we have equivalents of gods and goddesses, but they were already these goddesses and gods. They were already distorted when they came again to the Arabian Peninsula, and that's where the the Satan figure Satan figure become the bad person, you know. So, and these practices like yoga, like many other gods and goddesses, they were become antagonized in Abrahamic religions in favor of Jehovah. So yeah, that's how they came around. They came about. You might think I'm being delusional. I don't know, maybe I am. But it's one theory that I've been thinking all this time, and maybe they are not true, but but I wouldn't give it. I wouldn't dump it in the trash just because it's not proven or it's controversial. I mean, I mean, my belief came from many sources, and these many sources, I know they were kind of racist. Some of them were racist, but my theory is purely wanting to know what was happening, what was happening in the past, in the past. So maybe you can actually, you can actually call it a theory, but hypothesis is probably more appropriate here to be used. And so this is one of my theories or hypothesis. So maybe it's audacious, I don't know, but it's just a possibility. Maybe I'm crazy. But yeah, that's the belief that I'm believing the most right now, currently. And and I think that is the most sensible explanation to the origin of races. So, these races and belief systems they've been causing too much separation between people when it is not actually necessary, but we somehow manage to to separate ourselves from each other. But if you are a curious person and want to discuss 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 the many possibilities that was that we that we wanted that we've been wanting to know about our origins, where we came from. Maybe it was aliens, but even then, it doesn't really matter because we are very human. There is also a theory about this, about where the Abrahamic religions came from the spiritual perspective, and this whole phenomenon didn't only came from the fact of evolution, from evolutionary standpoint, or from political standpoint, but also from spiritual standpoint. And I don't know if aliens exist in the past, but there were something that were causing the chasm between people, and this was somehow related to spiritual realm, which is really controversial, and it is worth to be talked about in another video. So I won't be talking about them here. I would make separate video for that. Yeah. So I think we're done here. We're done with our theorizing. We're done. We're done with today's journal. We're gonna stop this video right now and speak at another time. So See you.